This episode is brought to you by DistroKid.
When you think about businesses that are selling through the roof, like Aloe or Allbirds, sure, you think about a great product, a cool brand, and great marketing. But an often overlooked secret is actually the businesses behind the business, making selling, and for shoppers, buying, simple. For millions of businesses, that business is Shopify. Nobody does online business better than Shopify. It's home of Shop Pay, the #1 checkout in the world. You can use it to boost conversions up to 50%, meaning way less carts going abandoned and way more sales going through to checkout. Sign up for your $1 per month trial period at shopify.com/income, all lowercase. Go to shopify.com/income to upgrade your selling today. That's shopify.com/income.
Hey gang, today's guest is lead vocalist and guitarist Luke Bentham from the Hamilton, Ontario rock band, the Dirty Nil. Together we discuss the writing, recording, and inspiration behind the single, That's What Heaven Feels Like, taken from their 2018 album, Master Volume. Luke is a self-described minimalist when it comes to recording. He prefers to keep things as honest as possible, plugging his Les Paul into a Marshall and letting it do its thing, rather than muddying everything up with a ton of effects. I told Luke that this song, and the guitars in particular, are very 70s rock. So it was no surprise when he mentioned The Who, The Stooges, and Queen as major influences. Luke's lyrics here are very tongue-in-cheek, mixed with self-deprecating humor, but sung with 100% conviction. The album was produced by John Goodmanson, and his approach to recording fell right in line with Luke's, which was basically plug in and rock. And wait until the guitar solo. I swear Luke channeled some of Brian May's energy into his performance. It's awesome. So for all this, and an old guitar pedal from the 70s that sounds like a spaceship, stick around.
Hey, hey, have you heard? Krista makes a podcast. Hey, hey, have you heard? Krista makes a podcast. Hey, hey, have you heard? Krista makes a podcast. Hey, hey, have you heard? Krista makes a podcast.
Well, hey Luke, I want to talk about your song, That's What Heaven Feels Like. I don't know how I missed this one, man. I mean, there's tons of music out there, as we all know. I had not heard this song till it came across my desk. This song rules.
Oh, thank you. I'm glad you dig it.
I totally dig it. This is from your second album, Master Volume, that came out in September of 2018. That's What Heaven Feels Like is the first track on the record, and it's the fourth single from the album that came out. And take me back to writing the song. A, do you remember writing it? It wasn't that long ago. And B, did you demo it out before you guys went in and tracked it?
Yeah, so I remember pretty much every Nil song pretty clearly in terms of how it all came together and the process of it and kind of where I was and where we were. But with Heaven, I was super into listening to News of the World by Queen. And
it's funny you say that. We're going to talk about Queen later. Keep going.
Yeah, so there's a song on, I'm pretty sure it's on News of the World, but it's called It's Late.
Mm-hmm.
And I was obsessed with this song. I had first heard it in the movie Observe and Report. It's this very triumphant ending of the movie, and that song plays, and I was just like, what is this song?
The way you love me is the sweetest love around.
And became obsessed with, that guitar riff. And I remember, usually with Nil songs, like I'll write a tune, I'll bring it in, we'll kind of arrange it. But with this one, I didn't even have the riff or anything. I think we plugged in and I just started playing the riff for That's What Heaven Feels Like. And everybody kind of clicked in and my brain was working really quickly. And I just knew we kind of had something really cool here. I had the kind of coarse chord progression just lying around as just kind of a bit that I was working on, completely unrelated to the guitar riff. But I remember having the riff and just kind of, we were playing it for a while, and I thought this is going to go really well if the bass just does the power chords on just a big A power chord to kind of reinforce this guitar riff, and let there be lots of space in between those kind of power chord stabs. The other thing that I was kind of channeling on that one was in the solo for I Love Rock and Roll by Joan Jett, those kind of pinch harmonics that the guitar player does.
Yeah.
So I remember throwing those in. I wasn't thinking about all this at the time, but in retrospect, I think that's kind of where I got that from. And then the vocals were just really, I was just having a great time, and it was just kind of, the lyrics are all about, having a great time. And I remember just like kind of once we got through the verse, I remember just doing a G chord and kind of looking around the room, everybody follow me, then an E chord. And then I just tacked on that little bit of that bit of music that I had lying around, which became the chorus. And I just remember, there were some rumblings of, what if we change this around and do this and do that? And I told everybody to shut the fuck up. And this I love it. We're not changing it.
I think that's awesome. Sometimes you have to stick to your guns. There's something about this tune. There's a simplicity to it. It's kind of a straightforward rock tune, but it's what's going on under the hood, everything that's happening around it that just makes it spectacular. I had asked you, about the demo, and if you remember, you'd be surprised. I've had guys on here that they wrote a song 45 years ago. They'll remember every detail. Oh yeah, we went to this microphone, we went to this guitar. Other guys, it'll be 5-6 years ago, and they just, maybe they don't think about it like you and I do. So I always like to ask the guests, how do you remember things? Because I tend to remember everything. It sounds like you do as well.
Yes, I definitely have a very clear recollection for pretty much all of the Nil material. I do remember too that we did a demo of it, and we just did it live off the floor. And the only change that really happened from the demo to the final recording in terms of the arrangement was we kind of opened with this we tried out on the demo opening with this like kind of softer version of the chorus. And Ross, our bass player at the time, had this awesome kind of bass line over the chorus that other people have pointed out sounds suspiciously like The Joker by Steve Miller Band. But that's just one other thing everything in rock and roll is stolen. So,
okay, well, you're kind of tripping me out now, because now I'm going to go back. Since you mentioned Steve Miller, because when it got to the first verse here, just this guitar tone, like, were you ever into Joe Walsh?
Yes, that was definitely another big inspiration.
Okay, how about Ronnie Montrose?
I don't know much about Montrose, I have to confess.
Go listen to the song. Sammy Hagar sang for Montrose, and Ronnie was a guitar player. He's no longer with us. He was fantastic. Go check out their song, Rock Candy. It has your tone. I can't wait to get to the soul later. We are going to talk about Queen, but I love that I'm hearing so many different little influences here, but it all ends up sounding like you guys. You do have an original thing here. I can bite little pieces, but I think that's so cool.
Thank you. Yeah, I knew that we had a pretty good crop of tunes already going into Master Volume, but this one definitely was, I kind of babied this one a little bit and refused to compromise on pretty much any other suggestion that came in, because I was just like, nah, this is probably, even though it's half stolen or all stolen, like, this is one of my favorite guitar riffs I've ever come up with.
It's awesome. The tone, everything about it is the way it was recorded, which we're of course going to get into. But the album was produced by John Goodmanson, who's from Seattle. He's an indie rock producer, best known for producing multiple albums by Bikini Kill, Blonde Redhead, Death Cab for Cutie, Los Campesinos, and Slater-Kinney. How did you get involved with John?
We got involved with John because he, when we finished recording our first album, Higher Power, we were looking for somebody to mix it, and his name came up as somebody that he did Young Machetes by Blood Brothers, and we really liked how that sounded.
Did John mix the record, mix this as well?
Yeah, John produced and mixed Master Volume.
Okay, I had seen credits that he engineered and produced it. I didn't see that he mixed it. Which, looking from his resume, the bands he worked with, I mean, all the productions sound great, but they lean maybe more towards what I would call indie rock, and this doesn't sound like that at all.
Yeah, I mean, I think when we were working on this one, this was the first album that we got to make with John from the ground up, and he really kind of tapped into, we had done a lot of, like, we were pretty well rehearsed and pretty ready to make this record by the time he flew to Toronto and we had the time booked. And he really kind of leaned into the kind of classic rock guitar stuff that I had going at the time, and that he really dug it. We were just on the same wavelength about it. And I think at first he was kind of a bit apprehensive about it and thought it was kind of like maybe a bit passe, but I think he saw us actually playing the songs and he was like, no, I get it now. It's kind of like, it's fun. It's not like some sort of self-serious, like, Kansas or
Well, I mean, look at someone like Lenny Kravitz. I mean, he was doing stuff in the 90s that sounded like it was out of the late 60s, early 70s. So I guess that could have been considered passe, but it was awesome.
Yes, and I think John immediately kind of got on our wavelength. And I think, John had one really good arrangement suggestion when we were doing pre-production for this song and this album in general. But on the chorus, when we're kind of moving through the chords, Kyle was like kind of doing accents every time the chords changed. And John just basically got him to take those out and I think just accentuate the last one. And that was a really small tweak that really brought the chorus to another level.
Well, you say small tweak, but for everyone listening, it's little things like that you can't overstate how important a producer can be. Just those little things it changes the whole feel and presentation of the chorus. I love it.
Yes, and so moving on to the kind of recording part of the song, we had a really rough experience making our debut album, Higher Power. We were doing it with friends and we weren't quite clicking on how to get things done and how to get good sounds. And, our producer for that album, in terms of tracking, was insisting that I used, I was getting a very kind of muddy, not very good sound with my Les Paul Custom and my Marshall amp. And he was saying it's too loud. We got to, it's too this, it's too that. And so we tried to kind of find like a halfway point volume wise, and that satisfied no one. And so he was trying to insist on me using like a Fender Mustang and maybe this will, and I said, like, I'm not, that's kind of the very opposite to my guitar style. I'm a Les Paul into a Marshall guy, and I said, well, you're the engineer, sort it out, make it sound good. So we were kind of having, we kind of had a lot of difficulties recording the first one. So I was very nervous going into master volume and very intent on not repeating that type of friction in the studio and trying to get. I said, listen, I'll use a Schecter if it gets me a good tone. I don't care what I use in the studio. I just want it to sound right.
I used to have a Schecter,
and whatever it is, I don't care. Like I'll use it doesn't matter as long as it sounds good. And then this time, I showed up with my Les Paul Custom and my Marshall, and John asked me to plug it in how I usually play it. And I played it, and he's like, "That sounds amazing!" Like, and I was just like, "Are you sure you don't want me to use a telly and a little amp?" And he's like, "No, this sounds amazing. Let's just roll with this." So it was really cool to actually just get to use my gear, and it sound awesome immediately.
Do you know how many times I've seen that happen, though? It's happened to me. I've seen guys in the studio, and the producer all of a sudden thinks he's more important than the band, and they'll just jump in at every opportunity and say, I don't like that. Like, but this is my sound. This is what we sound like. We're playing to people that are digging this sound. I dig this sound. This is a part and an extension of my personality and my my heart and my brain. How can you tell me that, again, there's sometimes when a producer, and it sounds like John was absolutely the right guy, but this first fella you worked with, he was trying to put a wrench in the works.
Yeah, and it just wasn't quite clicking the first time around. I think like the way we ended up eventually doing the guitar tracks for the first album was I plugged in my 100-watt plexi and into an oversized 4x12 and stood in front of it with my cans cranked and just re-recorded all the guitars in like an hour for the album. And so the higher power sound's particularly vicious because it's me standing in front of 100 watts and blasting me, which I really actually like the sound of it now. It sounds like a trillion like bees devouring.
Well, I was going to say, I bet the feedback was crazy.
It was awesome.
Yeah.
It was, but I think that one of my favorite recording experiences of all time was laying down the guitars for That's What Heaven Feels Like. I just remember, plugging into my rig and like having it come over the studio monitors. This time I did not do it in the room. For anybody that hasn't, recorded 100-watt plexi in the room with you, it's an exhausting experience. So
I haven't done it in a long time. I used to do feedback tracks like that. You can get feedback different ways now. It was unbeknownst to me as a young guitarist. Luke, I want to jump into this thing. It's 2 minutes and 49 seconds of awesomeness. That's what heaven feels like. The intro's 8 bars of a super fuzzy guitar that sounds like a rocket's about to take off. It's kind of panning left and right. I noticed that this intro is different from what the video was. The video was like an organ kind of intro that was kind of soft. Was there a reason for that?
Yeah, so in the studio, I kind of wanted to have this like lift-off sound, and the way that we got that was I have a 70s Electro Harmonics Memory Man that I never use ever. It's if you're familiar with the Nil music, there's no delay or there's no effects. Basically, it's distortion and volume and that's it. But there's the odd spatter of reverb in there, like in the studio once in a while. But there are no effects, and so I have this Memory Man that's kind of been collecting dust, and I plugged it in, and I just we did 2 tracks of me basically, hitting a note and then swelling up the time knob on this. It's a really cool old pedal. It's actually sitting right here. Let me show you. It looks like
I'm picturing an old stomp box, Luke.
Yes, it's
look at that thing.
It's got some sort of like reinforced switch. It's covered in rust.
It oddly looks like the old Nintendo controllers.
Yeah, I love old big pedals from the 70s and 60s. But
I was just gonna say to you, talking about that pedal, because I've heard that type of sound. Ace Frehley from Kiss used to, do the rocket sounds and whatnot. But you weren't even born in the 70s, were you?
No, I was born in 1990.
Oh my God! So. Okay, so. All right. Well, I was born in 73, hence why I know who Montrose is. But
okay.
But the intro goes right into verse 1 and. I'm a million impulse decisions tonight. Back in the city, howling, but I won't bite. That first line's killer, man. I'm a million impulse decisions tonight. I felt that.
Yes. Well, that was just the feeling. I opened up my mouth while I was playing that guitar riff, and that was the first thing that came out, so I stuck with it. But yeah, I think in retrospect, it's the feeling of like getting home from tour and going out on the town with your boys or your people or whatever, and just being like, tonight's going to be a good night. I don't know what's going to happen, but let's have some fun.
No, you mentioned getting home. That's when I used to feel like the bottom dropped out, because you have all this ambiance and noise and doors slamming and people talking when you're, in the van or the tour bus or backstage, and then you get home and it's like crickets.
Yeah.
Which can be unnerving to some people.
Yeah, I mean, we would get home from tour and maybe spend the first night sleeping, but the next day we would always just go out and paint the town red, and that's kind of what this feeling's about.
Well, you live in the Toronto area. That's a good town to paint the town red. I've done it a few times. Great
Yeah.
city. Verse 1, lots of cool things. Drums, bass, stereo guitars are all in here. The vocals, they're like blown out, just about to peak, but they don't. The vocal sounds mean here. And I had mentioned earlier, I'm hearing that classic rock, that Joe Walsh, that guitar straight through a Marshall, no effects, maybe a little verb if needed. It sounds real. It sounds mean. From there, we go right into pre-chorus 1. Bored of a certain safety, got me a death wish, baby.
Yeah.
Some bands can get. Listen, I've made I don't know how many records. I can't get away with saying baby. Not for my band. I have nothing against it, but man, when it works, it works. This is a great lyric. What's going on?
It's the time honored tradition in the rock and roll context of it's kind of an extension, I'd say, of the first verse there of the of going out and having a good time. And
so bored of a certain safety, you know what getting home and watching reruns on TV is going to get you. Yeah, you know you're going to fall asleep about 10:30 and going to call it a night. But you got yourself a death wish here.
Yes, let's go out and have some fun and throw caution to the wind is essentially, yeah.
Okay. Again, drums, bass, and stereo guitars all in here. The guitars sound huge and play some great arpeggios over some minor chords. It's a perfect setup for chorus 1.
Cut up like a canine, howling in your headlights, rolling through the windshield. That's what heaven feels like. No!
Caught up like a canine, howling in your headlights, rolling through the windshield. That's what heaven feels like.
Yes. Well, I think that's kind of at the time we were touring a lot, as we are still now, and you kind of get you see a lot of twisted auto wreckage at the side of the road, and that imagery was at the forefront of my mind when I was writing these lyrics. And I think it's just about being somewhat apprehensive, knowing that if you fall in love, you are going to get hurt. And but screw it, let's try it.
Okay. Up to this point, do you recall if the demo was the same? I know that you didn't make many changes. Was the arrangement up to chorus 1 the same?
Yes, it was the same. Yeah.
Okay.
I had that little arpeggio guitar part from the very beginning, and the only thing that we really did differently in the studio when we made the actual recording of it was that we faked a 12 string by just doubling it up like with a capo on the 12th fret and just repeating the same thing. And
wow. That sound like a chorus pedal maybe. I didn't know what that's great.
Yeah, that's another way more expensive Les Paul from the 50s up at the 12th fret, in addition to my 1975 Les Paul Custom.
Hey everybody, don't go anywhere. We got lots more coming up with Luke Bentham after a few words from our sponsors.
Looking to elevate your music career? DistroKid is a digital music distribution service that enables musicians to distribute their music to online stores and streaming platforms such as Spotify, Apple Music, YouTube Music, Amazon, Tidal, and many more. DistroKid collects earnings and payments, sending them to you, the artist. With DistroKid, artists unlock a world of possibilities. From easily paying collaborators with splits to securing your music with DistroLock, DistroKid covers all bases. Plus, you can promote your releases with Hyperfollow and create eye-catching visuals with a Spotify Canvas generator, all for free. But that's not all. Introducing the DistroKid app, now available on iOS and Android. Artists can manage their releases, view streaming stats, and withdraw earnings, all from the palm of their hand. And for those looking to perfect their sound, check out Mixia. With its simple interface and customizable mastering options, artists can make their music sound polished and professional within minutes. And don't forget about Instant Share, DistroKid's newest feature. Share large files securely with collaborators, producers, and more, ensuring your music streams at the highest quality. Ready to take your music to the next level? Download the DistroKid app and explore their suite of tools today. Plus, listeners can enjoy 30% off their first year by visiting distrokid.com/VIP/demakes. That's distrokid.com/VIP/demakes.
Your burger is served, and this is our finest Pepsi Zero Sugar. Its sweet profile perfectly balances the savory notes of your burger.
That is one perfect combination. Burgers deserve Pepsi.
Deborah had to have surgery.
I had hip surgery in November of 2024.
Her United Healthcare nurse, Crystal, checked on her.
We do a routine call after surgery, and I could tell that she was struggling.
Deborah needed help.
My infection markers were through the roof.
And Crystal knew what to do.
I called the hospital and said she's coming in.
And got Deborah the help she needed.
Crystal and United Healthcare saved my life.
Hear more stories like Deborah's at uhc.com. Benefits, features, and/or devices vary by plan area. Limitation and exclusions apply.
This episode is brought to you by FX's Alien Earth, the official podcast. Each week, host Adam Rogers is joined by guests, including the show's creator, cast, and crew, in this exclusive companion podcast. They will explore story elements, deep dive into character motivations, and offer an episode-by-episode behind-the-scenes breakdown of each terrifying chapter in this new series. Search FX's Alien Earth wherever you listen to podcasts.
Remember the 90s? The sights, smells, and sounds? Like the sound of slurping down an ice pop at your backyard birthday party. A little too quickly. Then slurping down another one because Mom got that 90s price value pack. Well, thanks to Instacart, this summer can sound like that again. Get 47.2% off $10 orders of select 90s faves, so you can summer like it's 1999 with prices from 1999. $4.72 maximum discount per $10 of eligible items. Expires September 5th while supplies last. Discount based on CPI comparison.
Introducing the Fanatics Game Day Guarantee. Every single game day from now until October, if your football bet loses, you'll earn up to $100 back in fan cash. You're either winning or winning money back in fan cash. Guaranteed. Switch to Fanatics Sportsbook. Winning hits different here. Must be 21 plus. Gambling problem? Call 1-800-GAMBLER. CT? Call 888-789-7777. MA? Call 800-327-5050. NY? Call 877-8-HOPE-NY. MD? Visit mdgamblinghelp.org. Offer not available in all states. Terms apply. See Fanatics Sportsbook app.
Hey everyone, Krista Makes here, and I've got some exciting news. Krista Makes a Podcast is now on Patreon. Your support is what keeps this show going, allowing us to bring you deep dives into amazing songs from incredible artists every week. When you join our Patreon at KristaMakes.com, you'll get instant access to hundreds of episodes of The After Party, our weekly bonus show where producer Chris Fafalius and I talk music history, trivia, tour stories, classic albums, and whatever else comes to mind. Plus, you'll get early ad-free episodes of Krista Makes a Podcast, unedited video versions of each episode, and, of course, a brand new episode of The After Party every single week. If our show brings you a little joy, help us keep it going strong for just a couple bucks a month at KristaMakes.com. Not ready to commit? No problem. You can sign up for a free membership while you decide. Thanks so much, everyone, and I hope to see you all at The After Party.
But now it's time to get clean. I'm done with drugs.
And now, back to the show.
Well, chorus one, at the start of this, we get this chicka chicka, the whole band, and it's caught up like a, and on the chicka chicka, it's the snare, bass, and those stereo guitars. Something as simple as what that part is, chicka chicka, the way that it comes in, it's awesome. How many choruses have started out something strong? You know, Smells Like Teen Spirit has that big drum fill, and I don't know, something like this, I when I'm in the studio, there's times I have to remind myself, don't be too highbrow here. What's the part call for? Well, it calls for a chicka. We're into it. And I love how this chorus comes in. We get our first harmony on a canine, the second harmony on lights after headlights. We get it's more like another voice coming in. It's not a harmony on windshield. And then we get a harmony on feels like. And it sounds here, Luke, like the vocals were doubled, but you're kind of going off on a harmony here and there, or were the harmonies done afterwards?
The harmonies were done afterwards. Yeah, Ross did those harmonies. And after I wrote the chorus, we started working on harmonies together. And Ross is a fantastic screamer, but harmony vocals were something that were new to him. And so we were kind of like learning about harmonies together, and our whole ethos or strategy on doing them was what's going to be the simplest and most effective harmony and the most kind of memorable individually, so that you're not going to trip over my melody and you're going to know what your harmony is and be able to kind of commit to it. And that was what we came up with together, that harmony, and he nailed it.
Oh man, it's so good. Again, I thought maybe you were kind of going off on the second vocal there. I like how this was produced, because I can definitely hear two vocals there, but the harmony's subtle. It's not like in your face. They're perfect for what's going on here. Also in chorus one, the hi-hat opens up. It's a big, wide open hi-hat. It is just driving here. I think it's so awesome. And then we get right in to verse 2.
No, I don't believe in the long romance. No, crash, leave a flaming vapor trail, and maybe one slow dance.
No, I don't believe in the long romance. No, crash, leave a flaming vapor trail, and maybe one slow dance.
Yeah, I think it's pretty self-explanatory, but yeah, my 27-year-old thoughts on courtship right there.
Perhaps a little jaded, just a smidgen.
Yeah, I think acknowledging the finite nature of these types of arrangements and unions, but with a smirk on my face.
Okay. I was going to say, definitely tongue in cheek. We get the first lyric, no, it's screamed. And then we also get like you're reaching almost at the top of your register. No, and crash is also screamed. On the last line, maybe one slow dance. The snare goes double time, and the chord progression changes here a little bit, depending, online when I was looking at the chords, I think it was down a half step. I don't even know where I was playing it, but it changes to D to A instead of A, B, A there, like verse 1. So talk to me about that a little bit. I love little changes that they're just something else for the listener.
My two favorite guitar players of all time are James Williamson from the Stooges and Pete Townsend is probably my overall favorite guitar player. And Pete does all kinds of stuff. Like, I've just stolen everything I possibly can from Pete. And one of the things is that kind of, I don't know much about theory. I don't say that as a brag. It's stating a fact. I want to say it's a suspension, but because that's what it feels like. It might be something like that, but I don't know what it is. But it's basically, instead of playing the A chord the way I'm doing it, I'm just basically I'm droning the D string.
It's like D over A.
Yeah, it's like just kind of building some tension, but kind of keeping that that A.
That other one was your pinball wizard chord up there around fret 12. I just heard it.
Yes. Exactly. It's a little bit of pinball wizardry.
Little Pete Townsend shining through there. That's awesome. I don't try to talk about people's ages. It really is irrelevant. But I love that you were born in 90 and your favorite guitar players are Pete Townsend. That's really, really, really neat. A lot of times you get into guitar players that are, more of what maybe you grew up with, not someone in the past. And I think that's really cool. Right out of verse 2, we're into pre-chorus 2.
'cause you wouldn't know how it feels under the tread of your wheels.
Because you wouldn't know how it feels under the tread of your wheels.
That's keeping up with the whole crashing automotive motif love analogy. That's you don't know what you're doing to me, baby.
You don't know what you're doing to me. Under the tread of your wheels. Well, Pre-Chorus 2 has the same overall instrumentation as Pre-Chorus 1, but we get a completely new set of lyrics here in Pre-Chorus 2. Let's talk about that a little bit. You know, a lot of times for those listening to the song, you want to build it and you want to have the same lyrics. So by the second time the pre-chorus comes, they're possibly singing the hook of whatever that is. But here we get some new lyrics. Was that important to keep the narrative going?
It was to me. I mean, I remember walking around, like, I think out of most of the songs that we have, usually whatever I have as the first draft goes through very few changes towards the final draft. But I knew that this is a good one. I knew that this was it was going to be an important song in our for our record and, you know, probably for our band in the long run. So I did labor a little bit more over the lyrics for this one, and there's not very many lyrics, so it kind of left me more room to kind of drill in on the phonetic sounds of things and making sure that it was as cohesive and tight as possible. And so I remember being on tour with Against Me just after after I kind of wrote the first draft of this song, and just walking around after sound check and just trying to tighten up the lyrics. And I remember being in Florida and kind of landing on this and showing it to the rest of the guys, and they really liked it. And it was I finalized all the lyrics for the song on that tour, and then they didn't change from there.
Oh, it's great. I think, you know, again, I said earlier, there's like a simplicity to this tune. You know, it's not really, now that I'm talking to you, I really get it. It wasn't overthought. You said, this is the tune, this is it, and you went in and did it. And there's something about that, you know, being impulsive in that sense, not necessarily referencing the first line of this song, but being impulsive about your music sometimes is the best thing you can do. Just throw it straight out. Chorus 2. We get the caught up like that chicka again. Caught up like a canine, howling in your headlights, rolling through the windshield. That's what heaven feels like. And then we get a I'll show you, baby, spoken, which we'll get to that part in a second. But we get harmonies on canine, on headlights. The harmony is on head this time, as well as lights. On the first chorus, if it was there, it's so buried, I really couldn't hear it. And that's why it was hard for me to discern whether it was two lead vocals and you maybe branching off on a harmony. Sometimes that'll happen. But I love things like that in songs, because that shows me you didn't copy and paste the choruses either.
We certainly did not. And I remember kind of working out with Ross that this time at the very end of this chorus, we would switch. And so I would go high and he would go low. So the lead vocal goes high this time and the harmony vocal goes.
Oh, wow. Okay. Your voices sound to me like they work really well, but they almost sound the same and interchangeable with that.
Yeah. Yeah. We had a great time singing together.
That's very cool. Well, there sounds like there is a buried harmony on Shield this time that I didn't hear. And then we get the harmony again on Feels Like. And then the spoken word, it's like 10-15% sung, but I feel like it's more spoken here. And as that's happening, we get some guitar pedal or amp feedback that leads into the 16-bar guitar solo that we're going to get to in 1 second. But let's talk about this I'll Show You, Baby. Was that something just off the cuff? You were warming up? Because that happens a lot. You'll just say something like, oh, we're leaving that in.
It was off the cuff and John cut it out and I said, no, put that back in. He's like, it's too cheesy.
Oh, you said put it back in.
And I was just like, no, that's staying in. I was I was fiercely protective over every single beat and note of this song. There were many suggestions and alterations, and I said no to all of them, basically.
I really like you, Luke, but I don't know how well you and I do in a studio together. Two alphas, we might have a hard time.
Yes, it's one asshole per band.
Yeah. Hey, we could be friends then. You're not in my band. I always say that. I like this guy. He's not in my band. This is great. This solo, one of the first things you said today was Brian May.
Yeah.
And I don't know of how many, and I'm really handing it to you right now. I don't know how many Brian May emulators I've heard over the years. Or I just, my ear went up. I'm like, God, that sounds like Brian. But this solo does, man. There's some parts in here I'm going, wow. My notes exactly. It says very Brian May-esque, going between soloing and sporadic chords. So you'll be soloing, you get that random and that of that chord has its own space for like 1.2 nanoseconds, and then you'll continue soloing. That type of feel and phrasing, you nailed it.
Thank you. That's very high praise. I appreciate it. I think that, being a one guitar band and worshiping the guitar playing of Pete Townsend has really taught me to, whenever I go out for a rip, I'm always very conscious of the space that it leaves for, in terms of what I would, typically be doing with chord work and stuff. So I do try and do a lot of, mix a lot of chords into my guitar solos, because it just gets a bit too thin if you're ripping up, past the 12th fret for too long without any kind of bass. I mean, John did suggest that we put a rhythm guitar in there, and that was another suggestion that I shot down. I wanted to have that space there.
Well, no, it sounds real. Well, when the bar band up the road, the 70s rock band went to the solo, the rhythm dropped out. You felt out. Yeah, you felt the drums, you felt the bass, and you rolled with it, and everything was coming at you, hitting you in the head at 105 dB. So
yes, and I wanted to have, let alone like the I arranged the guitar solo to be played without accompaniment from another guitar. And I also wanted to leave space for us to really crank it up on the final chorus. But I again, like laying the rhythm tracks down of the verse was one of my favorite moments in my entire musical career, and just hearing those chirping pig squeals back over the studio monitors being like, I fucking did it.
Hey, listen, I've done whatever it is now, 275, or, we're zeroing in on 300 episodes of this show with different artists and different songs. One of the best, or if not the best, guitar tones, guitar player to guitar player. The guitar tone you got here rips. I love that John said, set your rig up. And he's like, I love it.
It sounded incredible in the room. And the only other guitar that I used a Les Paul Special to do the guitar solo, because we just we were drowning in Les Pauls. I did majority of it with my number one, but it was just like, wow, we have these other ones. Let's try it out. So we fired up a Les Paul Special with P90s in it, and it had this really honky, less kind of cutting, biting tone than my regular Les Pauls do, and it sounded really fat, mid-rangey, and we set it up with a treble booster like a la Brian May, and just plugged into my amp, didn't change any settings or anything, just added a treble booster, and I think I did 3 shots at the solo. And I wanted to double track it, and John said, nope, it sounds fucking awesome, just one. And I remember, I think I did the third one, and there was something in it that I missed, or that I had a very distinct vision of what I wanted the entire thing to sound like. Something I missed, and he just said, Luke, that's the one. Like, it's not, we're not, he's like, even if you beat it, it's not going to be as sick as that. So that's it. And then I listened to it one more time, and I said, okay, John, you're right.
Being the minimalist, I would say you are, no effects, kind of keeping it bare bones, that you wouldn't have wanted to double the solo. That would have been John's suggestion.
Yeah, no, I just wanted to, I think that when you hear, I guess I would have to say that Master Volume is our first proper studio recording, where it wasn't a mess of like, okay, well, we've run out of time at this studio and things aren't going well, so let's go over to this studio with this guy. We sat down with a crop of songs that we felt very strongly about, that we worked very hard on, and everything was just going well the whole time. And I had not really had an opportunity yet to double track my guitars and experience like, oh my God, this sounds so sick. And so like, I was just like, I was double track drunk at that point. I was just like, let's double it. And he's like, not this part. And I was like, okay.
No, that's awesome. I love that excitement that you have as a a young musician in the studio, and you're like, heck yeah, we're going to double track. And that's cool. And I'm happy that John talked you off that ledge, though. I think this sounds awesome. Bars 1 through 8 has that classic Brian May feel. Bars 9 through 16 here in the solo, the drums get busy with tom fills, and the guitar goes to an open string kind of riff solo and throws some octaves in there too. It's absolutely killer. At the end of this, we get a stereo pick slide. Doesn't take your head off, but the pick slide's there. To bring us into chorus 3. We don't get the chukka-chukkas here. Let's talk about that. Was that discussed?
I don't think it was discussed. It was kind of just a natural thing that it followed from what I had kind of written the last chorus to be, which is where no more arpeggiation, no more chords. These are going to be the biggest, fattest power chords with the low fifth added on the low string as possible, boneheaded, powerful as possible, and so instead of the kind of slightly fancier arpeggiation that we have in the first two choruses, this is just going to be bam 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 bam, like as simple and powerful as possible.
And you can feel it here in chorus 3. I had to listen to it a couple of times going, what's different here? I'm using the term feel. I felt it more than I heard it. I had to listen to it a couple of times to understand what you're talking about. Right.
And I think that Kyle had just naturally come out of that. My guitar solo, the first draft I had of it was very unlettered and just very, I spent some time working out a solo that I could feel this song deserved. And once I had kind of gotten it and brought it to rehearsal, Kyle naturally kind of went out with that roll, and we followed him, and I just followed him with a nice old pick slide.
Well, that roll's awesome, and I'm glad that the chicka chicka is not here in chorus 3. It is such a great hook as a listener, and I always try to do this a first time listening to a song, and I go, wow, what little hooks were sprinkled in here that people might not necessarily, the hook. What's the hook of a song? Oh, it's the chorus, it's the refrain, it's the big vocal. Well, I always say on the show, there's these little hooks, and that chicka chicka is one of them, but I like that it's not here. It makes me want to rewind the song. It also makes me want to rewind the song that there's no double chorus here on chorus 3, which, man, well, the first time I heard it, I'm like, it didn't double. I was almost let down a little bit. I'm like, what? How did they not double this? But it makes me, as a listener, want to go back and listen to it. I think the chorus is that strong. We don't get the chicka chicka right off that pick slide and that big drum roll. We're in K9. You hold that out. Is that you screaming or is that Ross?
That's me.
That's you there. Okay. We don't get a harmony there because it's just this raw scream. We get a harmony on lights and we get a harmony on windshield. And the last line, that's what heaven feels like, is just you there. Right at that point on feels like, there's a whole dun dun with the band. That's cymbal, kick drums, bass, and those stereo guitars. We get another dun dun. It's the same exact thing. And then the third dun dun, the full band hits together, but the drums go to the floor tom and the snare drum this time with the guitars and bass. And the last dun is just a cymbal hit and kick drum with the guitars and bass, and it kind of fades out there. This is almost like a little tag, a little coda you put on here at the end of this chorus, and I feel that it could definitely be there because you didn't double this chorus, but did you ever have the conversation about doubling it?
That was probably one of the suggestions that was thrown at me that I shot down with reckless fury.
Yeah.
I had many people tried to give me many suggestions about this song, and I told them all to fuck off.
Good. And you should, and please let me be another person you tell that to, because I don't think, I'm going to actually rephrase that. I don't think this should have been doubled. I think it's perfect. My hardest part now as a songwriter is editing, self-editing my ideas. It's like, why can't we hit this chorus faster? How can we do chorus 2 just to kind of be breakneck for the listener? How can I make these little changes? And the great songwriters all do those things. And I think it's awesome here that you didn't double the last chorus. Upon first listen, though, I was going, oh my God, because I think the chorus is so catchy.
Well, I think that my mentality when it comes to rock and roll music and making it is starve them, don't stuff them. I think that there's, my favorite songs are always the ones that I get to the end and I'm like, I have to listen to that again because I'm not satisfied by the first listen. I need to hear that part again, and it doesn't do it enough times for me to feel like I really got my fill.
What was that saying? Starve what? It was
starve them, don't stuff them.
I love it. That's absolutely perfect. I think that's a great way to wrap this song up. Is there anything else you'd like to say about it before we move on and let the world know what's coming up for you guys?
Yeah, well, I'd just like to say that this song has been very good to us, and I would say that if you've got a distinct vision on making something, or you've got a song that you wrote that you really, really like, don't let other people talk you out of it.
I will try to do that. I'm a few decades in with my band, and I have a hard time doing exactly that. Sometimes it's difficult, not only to be in a band, but to work with outside producers and have somebody else to twist your songs up a bit.
Yeah, and I mean, like, you can't make everything a battle, right? But there are some hills that I'm willing to die on, and this was one of them.
That's great to hear. Well, you guys have tour dates in Canada throughout September and in Europe throughout October. Who are you going over to Europe with?
We're going over with Spanish Love Songs and Joyce Manor, and as part of the Common Threads tour. It's pretty extensive in terms of continental Europe, and it ends up in England. And then after that, we haven't announced them yet. They'll probably be announced by the time this comes out, but I don't even know what they're going to be. But we have more tour dates for the rest of 2025 right after the Common Threads tour. So we're on tour all year. We're taking, we've got a new album called The Lash, which it drops on July 25th. So I guess it's already dropped, but very excited to kind of be playing those songs to people. They fit right in with the That's What Heaven Feels Like of the set. They're a bit gnarlier, got a bit more teeth to them than some of those songs, but we're having a really good time playing them. Just super stoked on our new one as well as our previous ones.
That's really cool. We'll tell the Spanish Love Songs camp that Less Than Jake said hello. We know those dudes, and have a great time overseas, and best of luck with the new record. And thank you so much for sitting in with us today.
It's been my pleasure. Thank you very much for spotlighting us, some happy little guys from Dundas. Take a guess. All your loved ones worried sick. All your loved ones worried sick. All your loved ones worried sick for you. That's what you gotta do. So you wanna be.
Hey everybody. I hope you loved that episode. I love this band. Make sure you check out the new Dirty Nil album called The Lash. It's out now everywhere. And don't go anywhere. We got lots more Krista Makes a Podcast coming right up after a few words from our sponsors.
Let's play Burlington's Guess That Price. Back to school means back to saving. We're bringing you kids' jeans starting at, hold on a minute, just $11.99. Burlington's acing this test. What about character backpacks? We've got them starting at $12.99. Burlington's done it again. How about sneakers for the kids? A-plus brands and right on trend starting at $11.99. Saving is now in session. Burlington, deals, brands, wow! Styles and selections vary by location.
Eczema isn't always obvious, but it's real. And so is the relief from Ebglyss. After an initial dosing phase, about 4 in 10 people taking Ebglyss achieved itch relief and clear or almost clear skin at 16 weeks. And most of those people maintain skin that's still more clear at 1 year with monthly dosing.
Ebglyss, lebrikizumab, LBKZ, a 250 milligram per 2 milliliter injection, is a prescription medicine used to treat adults and children 12 years of age and older who weigh at least 88 pounds or 40 kilograms with moderate to severe eczema, also called atopic dermatitis, that is not well controlled with prescription therapies used on the skin or topicals, or who cannot use topical therapies. Ebglyss can be used with or without topical corticosteroids. Don't use if you're allergic to Ebglyss. Allergic reactions can occur that can be severe. Eye problems can occur. Tell your doctor if you have new or worsening eye problems. You should not receive a live vaccine when treated with Ebglyss. Before starting Ebglyss, tell your doctor if you have a parasitic infection.
Searching for real relief? Ask your doctor about Ebglyss and visit ebglyss.lilly.com or call 1-800-LILY-RX or 1-800-545-5979.
This episode is brought to you by State Farm. Checking off the boxes on your to-do list is a great feeling. And when it comes to checking off coverage, a State Farm agent can help you choose an option that's right for you. Whether you prefer talking in person, on the phone, or using the award-winning app, it's nice knowing you have help finding coverage that best fits your needs. Like a good neighbor, State Farm is there.
This episode is brought to you by Amazon. Sometimes the most painful part of getting sick is the getting better part. Waiting on hold for an appointment, sitting in crowded waiting rooms, standing in line at the pharmacy, that's painful. Amazon One Medical and Amazon Pharmacy remove those painful parts of getting better with things like 24/7 virtual visits and prescriptions delivered to your door. Thanks to Amazon Pharmacy and Amazon One Medical, healthcare just got less painful.
Lowe's knows tough jobs call for tougher tools. The new DeWalt Elite Series power tool accessories are built to last for the pro who doesn't stop. With precision fitment, durability, and impact resistance, finishing jobs faster has never been easier. Shop the new DeWalt Elite Series at an everyday low price exclusively at Lowe's. We help, you save.
Go further with the American Express Business Gold Card. Earn 3 times membership rewards points on flights and prepaid hotels when you book through AmexTravel.com. Whether your destination is a business conference or a client meeting, your purchases will help you earn more points for future trips. Experience more on your travels with Amex Business Gold. Terms apply. Learn more at americanexpress.com/business-gold. Amex Business Gold Card. Built for business by American Express.
As we near the end of the show, here's a band you might not know.
Welcome to this week's Band You Might Not Know. If you'd like your band to be considered for Krista Makes a Podcast, email your best song via MP3 only and a short bio to bandyoumightnotknow@gmail.com. This week's feature artist is So What? Who Cares? And they're not just a band, they're a rebellious late-night dance party. Founded by LA producer Nightshade and featuring dual lead vocalists Lindsay Austin and Sonia Bender, the group mixes sassy lyrics, infectious hooks, and disco punk energy with a guitar-driven edge. This summer, they'll be bringing that stylish chaos to a stage near you. Don't miss it. Here's a snippet of their song, You Can't Buy Taste.
You're rich, but you'll never work it like this. Yeah, you're rich, but you'll never work it like this, bitch. I don't care about your money. No, I don't care about your money. Get out on the floor, get out on the floor.
The Wrap with Chris and Chris.
Chris, I love this episode. I got to tell you, this morning, I sent this song to my bandmates, as well as there's a Dirty Nil song called Done With Drugs. That's an amazing song too. I just love, you guys got into it a lot, the guitar tone. And also, you didn't get into this too much. I love the way that his voice breaks up when he gets up there in his range. It's just like a perfect, intense, just, I don't know. I love that thing with his voice. I love it.
Yeah, it's right on the edge of breaking up, and it's also how it's EQ'd. It's right on that, a lot of those garage bands of the 2000s, the White Stripes and the Strokes and whatnot, they would just have that vocal about peaking. It was just, right on the edge of completely being washed out and distorted. And that combined with Luke's screams, give it that quality. It's great.
Yeah, it's awesome. And Luke has like an impressive array of influences for what all comes together for like a great punk-inspired rock song. Like, I kind of think of this as way more of a rock song than a punk song, even though I kind of consider the band more of a punk rock band,
Well, and a lot of that lends to the production. He's a minimalist. He doesn't want a bunch of effects. There's not a lot of guitars on this. It's a pair of stereo guitars. There's a couple overdubs here and there. The bass is holding down the fort with the drums. And after that, it's all about the vocal delivery. On the surface, it's a pretty simple song. The arrangement, it's not super long. They don't double that chorus. One of the longest things is the 16 bars of the guitar solo. That's longer than the verse, pre-chorus, or chorus.
Starve them, don't stuff them.
That's a great saying.
Yeah, that goes as far as the songwriting. Like, you wanted to hear that final chorus. You wanted to hear it doubled, but guess what? You got to listen to the song again. You're not sick of it. You want to hear it again. Mm-hmm. Maybe if you hear it doubled at the end, you're ready to move on, but you want to listen to it again. I like that. And I think that same phrase can go towards the production of the song too. I mean, even the producer wanted to add the rhythm track underneath the solo.
Yeah.
I thought it was really cool how Luke said he was very protective of every note of this song. And you probably can't be like that with every song. I think things will start to deteriorate if you're not taking other people's opinions and thoughts into consideration. But I do think it's good to stand your ground on a song you really believe in. And I think Luke's vision for this song is a big part of why you and I love it so much.
Yeah, and it sounds real. It sounds honest. Yeah. It's not overblown, overproduced. The initial demo that he kicked out, that's basically the template of what was here. It wasn't too thought out. I'm a firm believer in that. I think sometimes you need to work on a song. And we've heard all the above and everything in between here on the show the last 5 years, Chris. We've heard guys like, yeah, I spent years working on this massive hit, or I wrote this in 3 seconds, and everything in between. So it's cool. You never know. Sometimes you stand your ground and you end up with a song like this.
It's hard to overstate too how something like a big chicka chicka can be so effective and so powerful. Now, we got into this and we talked a lot about who are the Boston guys? Paul Coterie, is that his name?
And Sean Slade.
Yeah, those guys. That's Radiohead, Creep. That's Mighty Mighty Boston's impression that I get. You have these big moments in the song that lead into the chorus. And Chicka Chicka, that's a pretty basic one. I feel like that's been done before, but it's effective. If it works with the song like it does in this song, why question it?
Well, the Chicka Chicka reminds me of like a vocal hey in a song. It's like, okay, how many times has that been done? But man, when it works, I mean, Suicide Machines, we've been out with them all summer. Almost every song has a hand, and I'm like, yes, but it works,
Right, yeah. I really like this episode, man. Dirty Nil, they've been around for a while, but they're kind of new to me, and I'm loving them more and more. Every time I hear a song like this, or like I said, that Done With Drugs song. I haven't listened to their new album yet. Little behind the curtain here. We're recording this before that album is out. When you're listening to it now, it's out already. I can't wait to listen to that album, man. So yeah, I love this.
Consider me a fan. I'm going to be diving into their back catalog. I think the band is absolutely incredible. Head over to KristaMakes.com to sign up for our Patreon, where you get extra bonus episodes of The After Party. We have so many of those episodes canned now, years of them. So if you sign up now for our Patreon for a measly, what is it, $5 a month, Chris?
Yeah, $5. And there's some other versions that are a few bucks more, where you get more things. You get early episode releases of Krista Makes a Podcast. You can get the video versions of the episodes, all kind of stuff. You can go check it out at KristaMakes.com. And, most importantly, you help us continue making this show if you sign up at KristaMakes.com. So we really appreciate everyone who has done that and is considering doing it.
So yeah, head over to KristaMakes.com and help us keep the lights on over here. And Chris, you got a review for us this week.
Yeah, hey, anybody who's listening, go to Apple Podcasts or Spotify and leave us those 5-star reviews. And hey, we might read it at the end here. We like to read these sometimes. Chris, I got a quick one for us today. It's a 5-star review titled Great Podcast from Sean with a trademark symbol next to his name. I guess he is the trademarked Sean.
Okay.
Sean said, I'm probably familiar with 50% of the songs discussed, and it doesn't matter. Even the episodes where I'm clueless about the artist are entertaining. Highly recommended if you are at all interested in songwriting and popular punk-leaning music. Some highlights if you're just getting introduced to the podcast: Dee Snider talking about We're Not Gonna Take It, and every episode involving a song from the Descendants/All Camp. The Bill Stevenson episode is one of the most heart-wrenching things I've ever heard. So thanks for the review, Sean Trademark. We appreciate it.
It's Sean Thomas Miller, Chris.
Oh, is that what it is?
I don't know.
You might be right.
Sean Tony Michaels? I don't know. Yeah. One of those. But anyways, great episode. Thanks to each and every one of you for listening every week. We couldn't do it without you. Want to thank this week's guest, Luke Bentham, for sitting with us. And we'll see you next week.
Hey, I'm Chris Fafalius, producer of Krista Makes a Podcast, and also host of One Hit Thunder. Each week on the One Hit Thunder podcast, we take a look into a one-hit wonder band or artist to determine if they deserved more success or if they were lucky to even have a hit at all. We've covered When in Rome, Jaquan, Shanice, Yellow, Squirrel Nut Zippers, Jesus Jones, Positive K, Mazzy Star, and hundreds more. With new episodes every Wednesday and special guests from the worlds of music and comedy, we always have nonstop fun, and maybe, if we're lucky, we discover some new favorite music. So if you love great songs and you often find yourself asking, whatever happened to that band? Check out One Hit Thunder wherever you get your podcasts.
Hey friends, have you been loving Krista Makes a Podcast? Well, spread the love by leaving a 5-star review on Apple Podcasts and Spotify. Don't hesitate to share what you enjoy about the show in an actual written review on Apple Podcasts. Not only does it help more people discover us, but we often read reviews in the wrap segment of the show. It's a quick, cost-free way to support us and takes just a minute of your time. Your reviews mean the world to us and help us keep the podcast thriving. Thank you for being a listener, and thank you for being a friend.
And now, a next-level moment from AT&T Business. Say you've sent out a gigantic shipment of pillows, and they need to be there in time for International Sleep Day. You've got AT&T 5G, so you're fully confident. But the vendor isn't responding, and International Sleep Day is tomorrow. Luckily, AT&T 5G lets you deal with any issues with ease, so the pillows will get delivered and everyone can sleep soundly, especially you. AT&T 5G requires a compatible plan and device. Coverage not available everywhere. Learn more at att.com/5G network. And now, a next-level moment from AT&T Business. Say you've sent out a gigantic shipment of pillows, and they need to be there in time for International Sleep Day. You've got AT&T 5G, so you're fully confident. But the vendor isn't responding, and International Sleep Day is tomorrow. Luckily, AT&T 5G lets you deal with any issues with ease, so the pillows will get delivered and everyone can sleep soundly, especially you. AT&T 5G requires a compatible plan and device. Coverage not available everywhere. Learn more at att.com/5G network.